Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. So I'm going to give people a couple of minutes to tune in before I get started. So bear with me. All right, I'm back. I see that guy Shaka Zulu is in the chat room. Shout out to WTM. Shout out to Janelle. Richard, shout out to you. Oh, you can't hear me? Can y'all hear me? Testing, testing. Can you hear me? Somebody said they can't hear. Throw up a one if you can hear me. Okay, so people can hear me. I was taking a little break before I got started. I wanted to give people time to tune in before I got started. Okay, everybody can hear me. Okay, so let's get going. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay, for some reason it's hiding messages, so I'm going to show these messages real quick. I meant to show that message. Sorry. It said hit hide. All right, sorry about that. All right, so let me share my screen so I can get right into it. Share my thoughts about this whole situation. First, I'm going to read from a couple of articles, and then I'm going to get into my commentary. So you just have to bear with me a second. All right, so this first story just talks about what happened in this Jussie Smollett case. So as you all know, everybody was shocked today because we all found out that all the counts against this guy for disorderly conduct were suddenly dismissed. He was, they were all dropped. All the charges against him were dropped. The prosecutors asked for the charges to be dropped in the case, and the judge granted their request. And, after this, and, I got to go back. First of all, this was an unscheduled hearing. And apparently the prosecution just called for this case to be dropped. But we're going to get into it in a second. We're going to go into more detail. So after the case was dropped, Jussie Smollett and his attorney had a press conference. And basically you had Jussie Smollett continuing to deny that he filed a false police report. He said, "I would not be my mother's son if I was capable of doing what they accused me of. I like nothing more than to just get back to work and move on with my life. But make no mistakes, I will always continue to fight for justice, equality, and the betterment of marginalized people everywhere." So that's what he had to say. Also, they said that he thanked his family for their prayers and their support, his friends and families and fans. He said, "I want you to know that not for a moment was it in vain. I have been truthful and consistent on every single level since day one." And then he went on again to say, "I would not be my mother's son if I was capable of one drop of what I've been accused of. This has been an incredibly difficult time. Honestly, one of the worst of my entire life. But I'm a man of faith, and I'm a man that has knowledge of my history, and I would not bring my family, our lives, and our movement through a fire like this. I just wouldn't. He also thanked the prosecutors, according to this article, for attempting to do what's right. This article goes on to talk about Cook County prosecutors agreed to drop the charges against Smollett at an unscheduled hearing in the case this morning. He will forfeit the $10,000 bail that he posted after his arrest. And, Smollett's attorney, Patricia Brown Holmes, said that there was no agreement with prosecutors, insisting that the state's attorney's office drop the charges on their own. And this is what the attorney said: "We believe that it was the correct result in the case. We're happy for this result, and we are very anxious for Jussie to get back on with his career and his life and to move forward. There is no deal. The state dismissed the charges." The attorney went on to say that he voluntarily forfeited his $10,000 bail. And this is what the Cook County State's Attorney's Office had to say. They said, "After reviewing all the facts and the circumstances of the case, including Mr. Smollett's volunteer service in the community and the agreement to forfeit his bond to the city of Chicago, we believe this outcome is a just disposition and appropriate resolution to this case." And it's important to note, as they say here, that the Cook County State's Attorney, Kim Fox, recused herself from the case. So the first assistant attorney took over the case for her because she had to recuse herself. And it's important to note that she was like insisting that the FBI investigate the thing, from what I understand and what I recall, and not not be prosecuted on the state level. Just had the FBI investigated. That was her initial position. And I want to know more about why she recused herself. And I may Google that while we're here just to find out more information about this. But this whole situation is political. It reeks of politics, but I'll get into my commentary a little bit later. So here's what the spokesperson for the state's attorney had to say: "We stand by the Chicago Police Department's investigation and our approval of the charges." Now, it's important to note that this is a case that went before a grand jury. You had the prosecution bring this case before a grand jury. A grand jury issued an indictment, a 16-count indictment against this guy. They heard a small piece of the evidence, and based on that, they indicted this guy. So this is not no situation where this guy was found not guilty or anything like that, or he was exonerated. And I'm going to read a statement from the state's attorney that goes into more detail about him not being exonerated. But this is not that kind of situation, man. Not at all. So let's go into this a little bit further. And then you had Smollett's attorney complain about the police department holding their press conference. And as you know, like right after this, the mayor and the police chief had their own press conference where they literally blasted this decision by the prosecution to drop all the charges in this case. And I feel them. I rarely agree with the police on anything, but in this case, I agree with them. I think that this is outrageous. I think this is ridiculous. I think this is a sham. It makes a farce of the judicial system. But I'm going to get into that in a minute. I'm going to go into my commentary separately. But first, let me get through this second article right here. That talks about how the prosecutor said that he was not exonerated. And this comes after all this heat that the prosecution took from the mayor and from the state's attorney. I think this may cost the state's attorney the next election. Because I think this is a crazy decision, and I'm sure the police unions are going to unite against this prosecutor and make it difficult for her to do her job, and also make it difficult for her to be reelected. So it says the Chicago prosecutor who dropped all the charges against Jussie Smollett said we did not exonerate him. He said the charges were dropped against the actor in return for his agreement to do community service and to forfeit the $10,000 bond to the city of Chicago. And, nobody just voluntarily forfeits that bond. So, I mean, and then, have some agreement to do some community service. This just makes it clear that his attorney was lying when she said there was no agreement. His attorney's trying to make it seem like they just up and decided to just dismiss everything of their own choice without even like having any kind of dialogue or any kind of agreement with this guy. Obviously that's not the case. No prosecution is going to go through the trouble gathering all this evidence of presenting it towards to a grand jury and, having everything lined up, the witnesses and all the other evidence, and then all of a sudden just drop things just for the sake of dropping it. Obviously there was some kind of agreement here, and yeah, it's just blatant and obvious that there was some kind of agreement here. Like I said before, like I didn't necessarily want this guy to go to jail or anything like this for this whole situation, but I think that there should have been a trial. There should be some kind of justice, even if it's probation or something like that. There should have been a day in court. This matter should have went before the court instead of being dismissed like through some kind of deal. And now the records are sealed, so nobody will be able to go back and see what evidence there was, or why these prosecutors decided to drop everything. It's going to be very difficult to get all more information. It prevents people from having transparency, thereby like making people lose further confidence in the criminal justice system. It goes on to talk about how the prosecutor said that he doesn't believe that Smollett is a threat to public safety. He said that he still believes that Mr. Smollett filed a false police report. However, so despite the fact that the record is being sealed and the charges are being dismissed, that doesn't exonerate this guy. You still had a prosecutor who made this deal basically saying he still believes this guy lied. So yeah, let me see. It says the 36-year-old actor had charges alleging that he lied to the police about a hate crime against him, and those were dropped. He faced a possible 48 years behind jail, behind bars on 16 felony counts of filing a false police report. It says Smollett was accused of lying to the police about being a victim of racist, homophobic attack on January 29th. And it goes on to talk about how the mayor of Chicago, Rahm Emanuel, called the dropping of charges against Smollett a whitewash of justice. And, the police chief contested the decision, claiming that Smollett committed this hoax, period. He said that if he wanted to clear his name, the way to do that would be in a court of law so everybody can see the evidence. And then the police chief said, I stand by the facts of what we produce. If they want to dispute those facts, then the place to do it is in court, not in secrecy. And I think that's a valid point. I think that's a very valid point. So yeah, let me stop sharing my screen. I want to see what you all are saying, and then I'm going to proceed to my commentary. Let me just pull up the comments. So I'm going to see what people are saying before I get into my commentary. Shout out to Covina, man. Shout out to WTM. Shout out to DJ Wiz 76. Yeah, it definitely doesn't mean that he was innocent, that he's innocent or something like that. You got people all on my Facebook like celebrating this as if this is some kind of accomplishment. Yeah, but I'll hold off on going into my full commentary in a minute. I'll go into that in a minute. So WTM said, I think he was framed. That's why I never spoke on it. Those two Nigerians were never interviewed about this. I think they were interviewed. Like, they may not have been interviewed in the press, but the police talked to them. They were interrogated by the police. Elaine Lloyd said white people are livid because he got off. So DJ Wiz said basically he forfeited his bail and agreed to community service and got a slap on the wrist. He didn't even get a slap on the wrist, really. $10,000 is pocket change. That's nothing compared to all the money that the city of Chicago spent investigating this hoax, all the man hours spent investigating that hoax, all the time spent going over the video footage of this hoax. That's peanuts, man, especially to a man that's wealthy like him. That's nothing. That's not even a slap on the wrist, man. That's nothing to him. This is a grave miscarriage of justice. And it makes a laughing stock of the criminal justice system. So somebody said she was in contact with his family. I think you're talking about Elaine Lloyd. Shout out to Elaine Lloyd. So I guess she's saying that she was in touch with his family. I think you're referring to the prosecutor. Yeah, so let me just Google that. Let me Google why she decided to recuse herself from the case. Just bear with me 1 second. So let's see if we can pull up an article that explains why she recused herself. Yeah, you were right, Elaine Lloyd. Yeah, so let me share my screen real quick so people can see this. Yeah, so this article basically explains why she recused herself. I would play the video, but I just don't feel like going back and forth with YouTube about fair use and all that stuff. But this article says this: shortly after the incident occurred in late January, State's Attorney Fox had conversations with a family member of Jussie Smollett about the incident and their concerns, and facilitated a connection to the Chicago Police Department, who were investigating the incident. Based on those prior conversations and out of an abundance of caution last week, the state's attorney decided to remove herself from the decision-making in the matter and delegated it to her first assistant. So there you have it. That's why she recused herself from the case. And I wonder if she had any kind of role at all in this decision to drop charges. I doubt it because she recused herself. So hopefully she didn't have any kind of role. But let's see. Let me see what you all are saying before I get into the commentary. So yeah, Elaine Lloyd was right about that. As somebody said, yet police in Chicago can't resolve murders of African Americans. So talking in Grub and Media said to the Chicago PD, Rahm Emanuel, the media, and the prosecutor's office, and he has like laughing, ha ha, that's what they get. That's what he said. And to some degree, I feel what you're saying because, the Chicago Police Department is not something to be celebrated. I mean, nor is Rahm Emanuel. I mean, I think he's a failed mayor when it comes to the violence problem in Chicago. The way he dealt with police brutality there is weak, like, involving Laquan McDonald and other people who have been victims of police brutality. So I understand why somebody will be laughing, but I still think that this is a bad situation, which I'll go into in a minute. I'll talk about like my thoughts about this whole situation. So somebody said, is the Baltimore Harbor area safe? Which is a completely, which is a completely off-topic thing, but for the most part, it is safe, for the most part. But that's a whole nother subject. And while we're talking about Baltimore, I just want to remind people that if you live in Baltimore, if you live in the Baltimore area, or you live in the DMV or close to Baltimore, I will be having an art show, and I encourage you all to come out. I'll put the information in the description box. I'll put a link to a Facebook invite. So if you're interested in attending, just list yourself as interested or as going. And that's going to be June 8th, this year, June 8th this year at 5 o'clock. And it's going to be at the Montego Bar and Grill. I'll post the link in the description box. So let's go on to some more of your comments before I get into my commentary. So somebody said, so WTM said, they're throwing brothers under the bus for the smallest things. I'm glad he was able to use money and influence to get off. I'm going to explain to y'all why I'm not glad that he was able to get off. And somebody said, and Elaine Lloyd said, what about the college scam? No one is mad that those people are getting off, and it's affecting more people than what Jussie did. So somebody said they hope that I stream my art show. I may do that. I may live stream it real quick on YouTube, and I'm going to have to figure it out because I want people on Facebook, a lot of my friends on Facebook, to see it. But yeah, I may do something from there. I may. But again, if you're in Baltimore or the DC area, you can commute to Baltimore, please come out, man. I don't know how many of y'all are in the area, but if you are, if you know people in the area, please spread the word. Again, the invite will be in the description box of this video. So let me explain why this is nothing to celebrate. First of all, like all on my social media, I have people like basically celebrating this thing like it's some kind of accomplishment or something, like he's some kind of victim or something. And the fact of the matter is, he is not a victim. This is nothing to celebrate, because here we have a situation where this guy basically pimped his race and his sexual orientation for personal gain, assuming that these allegations are true. And at this point, I don't see anything that refutes the allegations. I think that the evidence that has been made public is just clear. That this is a hoax, that this is a joke, that it was a massive waste of police resources. And it's just sad. I mean, given the history that we faced in this country, of all those Black people that were lynched in this country, hung from trees, in light of that history, that's the last thing that somebody needs to be playing around with for personal gain. This guy had a noose around his neck, pretending like somebody tried to lynch him, when we got real Black people that have been lynched, real Black people that are victims of hate crimes. And now, because of this, you have the far right running with this whole story to try to basically say that, you know, this is the example of what's wrong with liberals, to basically say, well, this is proof that these people are just making up these racism allegations. So now the next time there's some kind of hate crime that takes place, the public's going to be skeptical, the police are going to be skeptical, and that doesn't serve anybody's interest. You know, it undermines the legitimate fight against racism, the legitimate fight against hate crimes, the legitimate fight for people that are in the LGBT community, man. So for that reason, you know, I don't think that this is something to celebrate. You know, I think that he should face some kind of punishment for this thing. I think that it should have just went to trial. Now, I don't think he should have been locked up and his whole life thrown away over some false police report. But I do think that there should have been a trial, and this matter should have been decided on the merits, and there should have been some kind of penalty, even if it didn't involve jail time. Even though this situation is like a little tiny penalty, which is nothing. $10,000 to a millionaire is nothing. A couple of hours of community service is nothing. So this is outrageous, man. It is disrespect to the ancestors who were actually victims of hate crimes. It's disrespect to all those people that were actually lynched. It's disrespect to people like James Byrd, I think that's his name, who was drugged on the back of a truck. It's disrespect to those people, all those victims. And this is an example of what's wrong with the whole criminal justice system, man. We have one criminal justice system for poor people, you know, people that don't have all these resources, and another system for people that have fame and wealth. We're reminded of this time and time again. You know, whether we're talking about R. Kelly being able to get away with abusing a 14-year-old girl after video footage was captured. An example of, you know, somebody being able to use fame and fortune to get off. We shouldn't have a two-tiered system. We need to have a one system of justice for all people, where all people, regardless of their race, income, or status in society, where all people have equal justice under the law and are treated equally. But we don't have that kind of system. We have a system where if you have all this money, then you can buy the best attorneys. If you have fame, you can use that to manipulate people and to get what you want. This is the second time that this man has made false statements to the police. The second time, and his record's going to be sealed, and that's going to be the end of it. And it's just another situation of politics as usual, where people in high places get away with crimes. Now, a lot of people have brought up, you know, the fact that you have, you know, these other situations where white people are able to do X, Y, and Z and get away with it. And I think that that's wrong. I think that all people need to be punished for their crimes. Like all those people that people have pointed out, like that have filed all those false reports on black people. Like, you know, for instance, calling the police because somebody's at Starbucks, or calling the police because somebody's having a barbecue, calling the police on somebody for selling water, calling the police on somebody for cutting their own grass, or, you know, somebody doing canvassing in the neighborhood. All of that's wrong. And I think that there should be laws in place to punish people that do those kind of things. But the fact that those things are wrong doesn't make it right for this guy, Jussie Smollett, to do what he did. It doesn't make it give him a license to do this kind of stuff. And, you know, I'm sick of our people like constantly using whiteness as the yardstick for measuring ourselves, man. You know, basically always measuring ourselves up against white people, saying, well, white people get to do X, Y, and Z, so we should too. Just like all these people defending R. Kelly and, you know, what's his name, Bill Cosby, saying, well, all these white people got away with X, Y, and Z, so basically these black men should be able to get away with it too. And I just think that that's wrong. I think it's wrong. It doesn't make sense. But this isn't the worst thing. I mean, this is bad, but it's not the worst thing in the world. But I do, again, believe that there should have been a trial. There should have been some kind of penalty. And this whole thing stinks of politics. That's what it is. If this was just Pookie and Ray Ray as people say, there's no way in hell that he would be walking free today. They would have thrown a book at him. They would have put them under the jail or something like that. But because this is a man that's on some television show that has fame and fortune and has important friends, he's able to literally get away with this. And again, like I said before, I emphasize this. I don't think he should have had any jail time for this, but he should have had some kind. He should have had a trial, and there should have been some kind of, substantial type of penalty, whether that's a substantial fine to compensate or reimburse the city for all those resources that they wasted investigating some hoax, some sham. There should have been more community service. And I don't know, from what I understand, he did a couple of hours of community service. There should have been an extended period of community service. And I don't know if he's going to do more community service or what, but this whole thing stinks, man. This is wrong. And I'm going to just run through the reasons why this whole thing was a fraud from the beginning. Like I did a video, like before anybody had talked about it, before anybody called it out, basically saying, calling bullshit, man. Basically saying, well, this thing doesn't add up. It doesn't make any kind of sense. You got this guy going to Subway at 2-something in the morning, and you had these two random guys just happen to know he's out there, just happen to have some bleach waiting for this guy, just happen to have some noose to put around his neck. He just happens to have received some fake ass threatening letter before this whole thing happened. The cameras don't capture the incident at all, even though cameras are everywhere in the area. This guy, after this incident happens, he just walks past security in the building, like he doesn't even report it to the security. Then he's reluctant to report it to the police. Then, he says that the people that attacked him were white men. Turns out, saying that, quoting Donald Trump, saying this is make America great again country and all that kind of stuff. Turns out the two perpetrators are two Nigerian men that this guy knew. It just doesn't make sense. And then, he added that whole thing about the make America great again after his first interview. So this whole thing is suspicious. It was suspicious from day one, and it still is suspicious here and now, regardless of these charges being dropped. These charges, again, being dropped don't exonerate him. They don't remove doubt. They don't remove a cloud of suspicion over this guy. His career is still going to be tarnished. He's probably still going to go on and continue acting and all that kind of stuff and music, but there's still going to be a cloud over him because of this fake ass hoax that he invented. He got on that interview with Robin Roberts or whatever on ABC. He put on a show. He put on a performance, man. The guy looked like he was trying to get an Oscar or something, the way he was acting and stuff. So, yeah, so I just had to share my thoughts about this real quick. This is not going to be a long hangout. I'm going to see what the last bit of comments are. So Shaka Zulu said, I disagree with him being a millionaire. I don't know exactly how much he makes, but I'm sure that he's making some substantial money. Even if it's not a quote unquote millionaire, he's making a lot of money if he's on a hit television show like Empire. He's making substantial money. And you all get the point. And then it's like shout out to Def Rocker. Like, crime is a classic example of crime wolf, man. Crime wolf, pretending like there's some kind of hate crime and there's no hate crime, man. And it's like when you have enough people crime wolf like this, it makes it just like the story where you keep crying wolf, like when the wolf is actually there, nobody's going to believe you because you've been crying wolf the whole time. And that's how it's going to be with black people, period, man. So somebody asked, this is going back to my announcement about the event. Yeah, there's parking in the area. There's a parking lot that's real cheap. And I'm going to put all this information in flyers and stuff. There's a parking lot that's real cheap right near the venue. This venue is like located, for those people that are familiar with Baltimore City, it's near the Charles Theater. There's a parking lot right across there. It's just like down the block from the actual venue. So yeah, there's plenty of parking. This reasonably priced. I think it's like just a couple of dollars to park. The event is free, so if you can come out, just come out. And after this video uploads, I'll have the link in the description box so that people can actually indicate whether or not they're going to come. Like you can just click on the link and say you're interested or you're going, because I need to keep a track of how many people are going to attend. So hopefully people will come out. And right after this, I'm probably going to post a video on my Asaka Gallery channel so that you'll have all the information about the event. So look out for that. Yeah, there's hypocrisy on the part of those conservatives, man. That's a good point, talking and grubbing media. Yeah, there's definitely hypocrisy on their part, man. You're right, because these same people that are saying this, that this whole thing shouldn't be pursued against Trump are the same people that are going in on Jussie Smollett. And that's hypocrisy, man. Yeah, it's definitely different from R. Kelly. It's definitely different from R. Kelly. I'm not saying that those are the same cases. Obviously, R. Kelly's situation is far worse than this situation, but you get the point. You have a situation where somebody is a celebrity, they have a certain amount of wealth, and they're able to get off because they're able to hire, the best attorneys, and they're able to fight the case. And because of celebrity, people are enamored by that. And they decide, well, let's give this guy a second chance and all this and that. So you all get the point. Yeah, I hear you about being hard, but it's like the reason why I got to be hard on this is because of the seriousness of the allegations, man. When this guy talked about being a victim of a hate crime, people were really genuinely concerned, man. People were pouring out all this love and support for this guy, really concerned about hate crimes. You had politicians talking about this was a modern day lynching and stuff like that. This is very serious, given the history behind all this oppression against Black people, man. This is a serious thing. And anybody that pimps Black suffering and race for dollars, that's a person that's operating on a low frequency, man. That's somebody that I can't respect. Yeah, again, I said that this is not the same as R. Kelly, but you all get the point. You understand the point. Like, I'm not saying that these cases are one and the same. The basic point is that celebrities can get away with certain things. Yeah, so shout out to WTM. He mentioned my debate with that guy, Taz Exclusives. Thanks for your comments about that. So WTM said my debate was on point with that guy. After you left, I left. Yeah, I mean, it was that. I mean, they had those long ass hangouts over there, man. Like they go all day, man. So I can understand why somebody would leave right after that debate. Our debate, it probably lasted a couple of hours, which is long, rather kind of long for me. It was like between an hour and a half and 2 hours. And then after that, they went on for like 4 more hours with that hangout. Cause like that's how they do, man. I don't understand how people had that much time to just be lollygagging all day. Like I'm at work and I see these folks still on doing these hangouts in the middle of the work day all day. Who has time like that, man? Like they run these hangouts like at hours where most people are either sleeping or hanging out or doing something else, but they're online doing a hangout for hours and hours. Some of those hangouts be going like 6 and 8 hours. What do you have to talk about that needs to go that long? I mean, it's crazy, man. But anyway, let me just quit talking about that. But thanks for your comment. Somebody said, "Did y'all hear Harvey Superboy's commentary?" I'm not subscribed to him, so and I don't listen. It's been years since I listened to something he had to post. So I don't know what he had to say about it. He has good like back when I used to watch him, he had some good content, every now and then, hit and miss, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't agree with him on Bill Cosby, like turning Bill Cosby into some martyr or something. But there's always points you agree with people with and some points you disagree with people on. Yeah, I don't yeah, I haven't heard his commentary. And I don't think I'm gonna spend my time listening to it, man. I don't need to be evaluating any more people's stuff and going back and forth and trying to debate their position, man. My content speaks for itself. Um, you know what I'm saying? My position is clear right now. Um, oh yeah, I did hear about that crew ADOS. I think that's that same crew guy that was trolling and doing all those videos. But anyway, um, yeah, I heard about his lawyer getting arrested. That guy, Michael Avenatti, got arrested for extorting Nike. Yeah, I heard about that, man. That's a crazy development. Like, well, actually, it wasn't his attorney. Yeah, it's the accuser's attorney. Excuse me, the accuser's attorney. So one of the accusers, one of the attorney that's provided some of the information to the prosecution, he's been charged with extortion. Yeah, so I heard about that, but I haven't talked about it. Yeah, so somebody, Def Rocker asked if I knew about a black-owned theater in Maryland. I don't know about that. Yeah, I need to just do a freestyle hangout where we just chop it up and talk instead of focusing on one subject because I don't want to take this too far off by all these other side notes. But no, I don't know about a black theater in Maryland. I have to look into that. Oh, so what's his name? Crew is from Chicago. All right. Yeah, it probably wouldn't be so bad if more celebrities said that this was BS from the start, like Elaine pointed out. Yeah, I agree with that. It wouldn't be as bad because it's just the fact that so many people were buying into this hype, man. They were like, oh, yeah, he was some victim and this and that, man. That's the bad part. Yeah, I'm done debating those ADOS people, man. I mean, it's like, so I'm not doing it. I don't think I'm doing any more debates. O'Shea invited me to do a debate. I may do that one. I may do that one. I'm not sure. Yeah, 6 hours is crazy. Exactly, Elaine, man. They be going longer than that, man. Sometimes I see the thing say 8 hours. I'm like, what in the hell do you have to talk about for that long? And I'm like, who actually sits down and listens to 8 hours of a hangout? Who has that kind of time? That's a whole day. That's like a whole day in school, a whole day at work. I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous, man. That's what they do over there. So Def Rocker is talking about that. All right, man. So I'm gonna have to talk about this a little bit. So Def Rocker talked about how that guy Taz, kept cursing throughout the debate. Sound ignorant. Exactly, man. He sound ridiculous. Cursing, nigga this, motherfucker that. And we supposed to be having some civilized conversation, but they gave him passes and stuff over there because that was his, the home turf or whatever. Just like Lashee was pointing out in her live stream where she said, she compared it to like a sports event where you're on a team, for instance, is on somebody else's turf, they're visitors, and the crowd is rooting for the home team and going ham against the visitors. That's basically how it was over there. You had a fake ass judge panel with some biased ass judges that had predetermined what they were going to decide. But that's a whole nother thing. I already talked about it. I'm not going to get into it now. Y'all saw that other video that I did right after it. So let's get back on topic. Yeah, it's all right to disagree from time to time, Elaine, man. I just think, man, this guy is not some martyr. This is not something to celebrate. This guy made a mockery of the real suffering of Black people by making up this fake ass hoax. He wasted all these police resources that could have been doing some real police work instead of wasting time and energy investigating the hoax. This guy is doing a disservice to Black people and to the LGBT community, man. Yeah, you didn't miss anything, Elaine. You didn't miss anything by not watching that debate. Because it's like, you didn't miss anything. I'll just leave it at that. You're good. You don't need to waste your time watching that debate. And I see this Shaka Zulu, man. This guy is so biased. Of course you would say I lost the debate. Of course you would say that. You were in here defending that Yvette Carnell in the face of all the evidence linking her to a white supremacist. You were in here tap dancing and caping for her. So I'm not surprised that you would talk about somebody losing a debate. You already had your mind made up, man. You already one of these ADOS drones, one of these ADOS zombies that just believe anything that Yvette Carnell utters. You take it as gospel. So I'm not surprised that that you would be talking about somebody lost the debate. Only a fool would say I lost that debate. Only somebody that's extremely biased would say I got dragged or somebody put in work against me like these, or I got smoked like those people over there were saying. They don't know how silly they sound because anybody that watches that stuff could see that clearly the guy didn't smoke me, the guy didn't defeat me, the guy had nothing on me. I came with facts and information and he came with emotion and stuff. He came with weed smoke and gold teeth, man. But anyway, man, let me quit talking about that stuff, man. Y'all, I blame it on y'all, man. Y'all bringing it up. So, he said LGBTQRXYZ. Yeah, man, they got a lot of alphabets in that in that name, man. Yeah, so and WMT said you didn't get smoked at all. Exactly, man. Those people, you know what I'm saying? It's like when you're in an echo chamber, you start to believe your own nonsense, your own BS, and that's what's happening over there. But anyway, man, I don't want to keep y'all any longer. After this video, I'm gonna go over to my Asaka gallery to provide y'all with more information about my upcoming art exhibit and art show and sale. So I hope that y'all can join me over there. If you look for, you can just do a search here on YouTube. I'm gonna post the link in the chat room so that y'all know where it is. Just bear with me a second. So that way you could just click on the link, and once I go live over there, you'll be able to hook up with me. Hold on 1 second, just bear with me real quick. Yeah, so I'm gonna put the link in the chat room, and I'll be over there in about 5 minutes. Okay. Yeah, no problem, Minister Jap. Thanks for tuning in. It's no problem, man. I know people talk differently, and I know that sometimes people don't mean any disrespect. That's just the way they talk, so I can respect that. Thanks for showing respect to this platform. I appreciate it. So yeah, for those of you who are interested in art and all that kind of stuff, you can check me out. Check out my other channel, the Asaka Gallery. I will be over there in about 5 or 10 minutes. I just posted the link in the description box. I will be over there talking about my upcoming events. So you all look out for that. So with that, I'm going to say peace and blessings to each and every one of you. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great evening. Peace.